just gonna die in the end.
Okay, guys, now I hope I'm not giving you guys like pretty face overload today or anything, because I know I already made one rant video, but I was out running some errands, and when I came home, I jumped on social media. I got on Twitter because, I wanted to see what today's outrage was, because you always have to have outrage on social media. How else are losers going to get attention? No, but I wanted to see what today's outrage was, and apparently today is Boycott Jimmy John's Subs Shops Day. Oh, fuck you, train. And so I'm like, okay, what did he do? I mean, I'm just thinking, okay, it's a sub shop. Is Jimmy John serving like turkey rat subs or something? Something disgusting like that. But come to find out, everybody's upset because apparently the guy who founded the company, the original owner of the Jimmy John's chain, an old picture surfaced where he had shot an elephant. So I'm the type, I try not to jump to conclusions. The first thing I want to know is, okay, did the elephant start it? I mean, was it self-defense? Was Jimmy John walking around his mansion or something like that? This elephant comes out and like, bitch, I'm going to take your flat screen. I don't know. So I looked into it, and I was thinking, okay, it could be bad. Maybe Jimmy John guy, who I've forgotten his name, is probably Jimmy John, is a poacher. So I checked it out, and no, turns out that, because if he was a poacher, that's pretty bad. But turns out he's not a poacher. This was on a perfectly legal big game hunt. So I'm thinking, well, what's the issue then? Because apparently what I've been able to determine, the African government licenses these things. I guess you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to be able to go on one of these hunts. And apparently they're actually, according to the African governments, they're good for the local ecology and everything. What I found is these older male elephants, apparently they get, as they get older, they get mean and surly. And I'm a fat man, I'm old, mean, I mean, it all makes sense to me. But apparently that's why they're allowed to do these things. But still there's all this outrage because Jimmy John, he shot an elephant. And of course, now once you get the ball rolling, once these facts start coming in about things such as this, that it's, it's actually apparently good for their ecosystem to have these elephants taken out of it. I guess these elephants also can be vicious to the younger male elephants and can actually hurt the whole community of elephants because, again, they get old and mean and surly. But now the perpetually offended are invested. It's got to be wrong. It has to be wrong. There's got to be. Well, now it's my feelings. Well, if you can take joy in shooting something, it's just wrong, and we must boycott you. Okay, I looked it up. You know what the Jimmy John's founder is worth? $1.7 billion. Do you think your boycott makes a rat's ass bit of difference to him? No, he's gonna live the same lifestyle. I also determined that apparently most of the Jimmy John's shops are little mom and pop places because they're franchised. So they're locally owned and everything. He's made his money from it. The Jimmy John's founder is set. If Jimmy John's went under tomorrow, he's good. He's cool. He's still going to live the same life. He's got plenty of money to go shoot a bunch more elephants if the African government lets him. Who will be affected, of course, are these little mom and pop owners of the franchise locations. Who is going to be affected? Come on, this boycott isn't going to work. I'm just saying, in the bizarro world where these boycotts actually work, maybe this one will work as well as the one against Chick-fil-A. Remember when everybody was pissed off because Chick-fil-A is too far religious right and everything? Is it just a religious right? Did they back Trump? Whatever it was. I remember there was a boycott about them, and of course now they're like the biggest fast food chain in the nation. So way to go with your boycott. But I mean, you could, if you want to boycott your Jimmy John's, go right ahead. But again, you're taking out the college kid who might be working there part-time to make a few extra bucks. Again, you're hurting the local owner of that Jimmy John's. And I don't understand why you think what you're doing has any positive effect on anything. And then I realized, I understood what it was. It's all about social media clout. Because if you get good and pissed off about him having gone big game hunting, and you just take that gauntlet and run with it, and you get on, and these are my favorites, and then you get on social media and you go, I bought 7 Jimmy John subs a day for the last 30 years, and I will not buy another ever again. Now accept me, internet community, accept me, social media community, praise me. Praise me for my bravery, because I'm never eating one again. I've spent $173,000 at Jimmy John's in the last 2 months, and I'll never go. Who gives a fuck? The guy shot an elephant. The guy shot an elephant that, in a manner that, according to the government where that elephant lives, is productive for everyone. That elephant was likely mean, surly, inhibiting the expansion of his own pack, and so he was taken out. And then there's one last thing to consider too. Maybe that elephant was a douchebag. Did you ever think of that? While you're crying and screaming and kvetching about him shooting that elephant, what if he was an asshole? Maybe he shot that elephant and all the other elephants were like laughing and just like, here, he got it. You know, some of the elephants were like teabagging him, like a 12-year-old getting his first kill in Call of Duty. So, it's amazing. We have such a culture of perpetually offended. It's getting to the bottom of things means nothing. It's everything what it looks like on the surface. Here's a picture of him. He shot an elephant. Okay, that might not be for you. That's cool. So don't shoot elephants. As far as hunting goes, I grew up in a family of hunters. When I was a kid, we lived out in the country, and my grandfather, my father, my uncles, cousins, everybody went hunting. I'd go along with my Uncle Ed. I love my Uncle Ed. I'd go with him sometimes. I never got into hunting. Don't have any problem with anybody else doing it. The reason I didn't was, if I'm going to fight something or perform an act of violence with someone, I want it to be a fair fight. I'm not going to lose when it comes to hunting. The odds are all in my favor. There's no interest in it for me. And as a matter of fact, my Uncle Ed, my 2 uncles on my mom's side, I think you guys will enjoy this. They were the perfect antithesis of one another when it came to hunting. They both hunted. My one uncle would tell you that it's a sport, you know, and requires a lot of skill and patience, and you know, he was doing a lot of good for the local deer population or whatever the case may be. And then my other uncle was like, no, hunting's not a sport. I'm not going to lose. My Uncle Ed would tell you, he's like, a sport is a competition in which 2 teams or 2 individuals have an equal opportunity for victory. I'm not going to lose. I got a goddamn cannon. I'm going to win. The best that the prey can hope for is that I'm a bad shot and we get a draw, but he ain't going to win. And my uncle would tell you that. He just liked killing things. Might make him, to some people, might make him a bad guy, but at least he was upfront about it. And he did always say as well that the only reason he even hunted animals was because, to that point, it was illegal to hunt humans. I love the man. I didn't say he didn't have an issue or 2, but yeah. So the guy who founded Jimmy John's killed an elephant on a big game hunt. So our response is, well, the main response is, let's all get together and pat each other on the back and tell each other how wonderful we are for speaking out about such a travesty. And we're also brave, and we're all so special. And we should all have trophies today because we're boycotting Jimmy John's, and we're going to try and get some 17-year-old trying to make a few extra bucks while he goes to school fired or laid off because, you know, they won't sell enough sandwiches. Or we're hoping to get maybe the little local Jimmy John's franchise to go out of business, because then the McDonald's down the road that's still corporate owned, then they can make some more money. That's perfect. And it's brilliant. I don't know why I ever question the thought processes of those who seek to bring justice to all of society's ills through the Twitter feed. As far as me, I've never had a Jimmy John's, but this is all making me kind of want one. As far as I can tell, he didn't put any of the elephant meat in the sandwich. So I'm good, and I wouldn't even mind that, except that I have reason to believe that this elephant was an asshole. So I don't want to eat him. But other than that, I'm going to go try me a Jimmy John's.